for this interesting seminar. And well, my name is Dhanashri, and I welcome everyone to this Prep Talks, a series of seminar on public relations. Uh, PR Club. I'm sure everybody wants to know what is PR Club all about. So let me tell you, the PR Club is India's first community of PR and corporate communication professionals and students. So the idea behind this seminar is to do the seminar is to give you a gist, to give you a clue of what is public relations and why can you go for the, I mean, why is this a career option that should excite you? So that's the gist of it. And so guys, make the most out of it. We've got a senior speaker here. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can raise your hands virtually. If not, then put your questions in the chat box. That's what you can do, right? So without further ado, let me quickly introduce you to our first speaker this afternoon. Yes, she's Gitika. Let me tell you, she has worked in the communication sector for close to 15 years now, and a major part of it being dedicated to lifestyle and luxury. Gitika founded Zeevcoms, it's a niche PR firm, in 2018. She has had the privilege of working on a wider spectrum of industries like corporate technology, FMCG, startup, aviation, entertainment, lifestyle, and luxury. She has grown with and nurtured her skills at Wordsworth, a very successful dynamic communication firm where she was spearheading the luxury vehicle of from Delhi and Mumbai offices and driving communication campaigns for some of their global clients like IWC, Squash Hudson, Bomhe, Mercier, Debris, Carl F. Bucherer, to name a few. Prior to this, she has worked with Vaishnavi Corporate Communications in Bangalore, where she's executed communication campaigns for some of the highly activity clients like Titan Industry Limited and the Taj Group of Hotels. She has started a career at Ipan Hill and Hotel in Mumbai, where she single-handedly worked on PR plans for Hindustan Unilever, hair care brands like Sunsilk, Clinic All Clear, and Clinic Plus. So there's a lot about her, but this is what I have, got a little brief about her for you. So we have Gitika here. So over to you, Gitika. Let's go for it.
Thank you so much. When you were sort of talking about the profile, it took me down the memory lane and my first job, which was exactly IPAN. So thank you so much for having me, and so glad to see we have about 57 people here, more than what was promised. So I mean, a good start already. I don't know how all of you are comfortable with mute, of course, but you can have your cameras on. That will also sort of help in having a very interactive session if you like it that way. So I invite all of you to just have your cameras on if you can, if you're comfortable. It just helps, in me thinking I'm not just talking to a screen, and we can have, interactive session. Otherwise, it just becomes like a very boring session, as it is the subject that we've chosen. And I believe, your course interest and inclination is more towards journalism and media. I will take care, while I'm going through what is PR, I also tell you, how PR and media, the love-hate relationship works. And it has always been like that. I don't know if it'll always anywhere be better than this. But so before I start with the little ABCD, I'm just going to go that way because ma'am has also told me that, this will be the first time that you'll be hearing about PR, public relations. But any of you has a slightest idea on what is PR, communications? We normally refer to it like the terms corporate communication, brand communications, marketing communications, public relations, public media relations. So okay, was I on mute? Okay, sorry. Okay, no, it's fine now. All right. So yeah, I just want to understand from any one of you, if you have any background or any understanding, or what, if you have an understanding, then where are we at? And then I can, pick it up from there. Or is it like a complete bare ground and, we can totally work on the ABCD part of it. Would anybody want to tell me what is your understanding of PR or any of these? They're all, a part of this larger umbrella called marketing. And PR, yes, is a very small curriculum. Even in MBA, there is but yeah, the focus given to PR as a subject is very, very little. Sad, but if you look at the power of PR, it can actually make or mar a brand. And there are so many case studies which can tell you how, when the PR went wrong, the brand really went down the drain. And good PR example case studies are also there. Maybe I can share with the university or with ma'am separately after the session. Yeah, would anybody want to share first before I pick it up? Anyone?
Yes, go ahead. Somebody.
Ma'am,
Yes,
PR
Dev-
mostly
Yeah, Apekshit and then Deval. Yeah, go ahead, Apekshit.
PR mostly work for relationship for developing the relationship for organization and the personal.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm glad you have this understanding. Anyone else?
Yes, Deval.
Hi, ma'am. PR basically is kind of bridge between the media and any organization. It can be also an individual. So it can be huge brand names or a celebrity or a public figure. So they manage how the interaction with media goes, and it also covers many aspects in it. So that is my understanding of it.
Yeah. Tell me, what did you do? Like, what did you study when you were graduating?
Ma'am, I did my bachelor's in journalism and communication.
Okay, beautiful. So there must be others also with the similar.
Yeah, there is
creds.
Gayatri also who wants to share.
Sure.
हॅलो मॅम
Hi.
मला असं वाटतं की पर्सनल इन्फॉर्मेशन असेल किंवा इमेज क्रिएट करायची असेल ती इन्फॉर्मेशन मीडियामध्ये किंवा पब्लिकमध्ये कशी जाईल याचा जो फ्लो मॅनेज करायचं काम असतं ते PR करतो.
Would you like me to translate it a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, she said that information about an organization or a person. So what kind of information should be reached to the public through the media is what the PR takes care of.
Okay, beautiful. Again, very happy to at least see like whatever number of people, but there must be similar understanding somewhere. At least it's not like completely wrong idea of PR or something like that. So, all right. I am also a PR and events graduate from Mudra Institute of Communications in Ahmedabad. That was just a 1-year course. And after that, I, started my first job, which was in IPAN. IPAN is a PR firm. And my first job was in Bombay, and where I was given, Hindustan Unilever Sunsilk or the hair care section as to work on, and they were my clients besides others from time to time. But that was a completely high activity client, and we would have like 35 city activity going on in a single month. So anyway, I'm thinking now, let's just start with jargons, as simple as that. What are PR jargons that we use in PR so that, ever you try to sort of want to get into it, it doesn't sound very alien to you. Public relations. Yeah, and sometimes it's also referred as, media relations. And basically it is all about your relationship. So many times people tend to think, and in fact, people in my own family, my close family, they do not understand till date, what do I do? Is everybody comfortable in English? Should I just go like English? If you wish
that
to?
would be fine if you keep switching between Hindi and English. Yeah, that would probably be better.
Okay.
But we also
So-
have some international students. So
Okay, so yeah, I was saying my family thinks I work with the mafia because they just do not understand what PR is about and what do I do. And when I try to tell them and decode it, they're like, okay, anyway, you do not work with mafia, and that is what we're concerned about, and rest anything, you should be. So let's let's pick it up over here, that in our daily lives, all of us are actually doing PR for either ourselves or, for the company we work with, or a concept that we believe in. Is it or not? Like, do you try to convince the other person, try to sell an idea? That is exactly what, is PR about, where media, yes, why do we need media? Media or idea, and then, saying it out aloud to a lot of target audience. So it becomes a very credible party who has endorsed your idea. So we need media to, bring out our story. But when we say PR, it is not same as advertising. In advertising, we pay for the space that is, we buy in a paper or online now. Even electronic media, we buy that space, right? In PR, it is a lot based on our relations. So for example, your story, everybody is aware of this portal. It's a news portal, features portal called Your Story. Pretty quality, category A. And if I am to pitch a story over there, it will be based on my relationship and also how I sell it. So how am I drafting my pitch? Does my pitch really have that strength? Do I believe in my pitch? And you can only sell an idea if you buy it yourself. So when you go to media with an intelligent, strong pitch, it's hardly, there's always a positive response, at least more than 50% of the time. And so based on my relation with those, 5 of the 20 journalists working in Delhi at Your Story, I will go to the person who follows that particular beat and convince him to write my story. Now he or she will take it to his editor and say that, okay, this is the pitch. Do I sort of work on this? And they get a go ahead, and that is how my story gets approved. But actually, it was about the rapport that I shared with that journalist. So the chord, the friendly chord, and how you maintain is totally on you. But sorry, I went a little far without telling you about jargon. So I'm gonna come back now. So everybody knows in media, what is that? Okay, I'm gonna mute you. Who do we, what is a beat?
Yeah, just a second. Akshay, you need to mute your mic. Akshay Taide, please mute. Yeah.
Yeah, would anybody want to tell me what is a beat when we say Times of India and so journalist follows this beat? You can write it in the chat box or raise your hand and just tell me, or just unmute and tell me. What is a beat? Okay.
Yes, Chinmay. Chinmay, you raise your hand.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes.
Hi.
Beat is like a genre of the news. Different kinds of, or we can differentiate news by the beats, like entertainment beat, crime beat.
Lovely. Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, and there are so many beats. I mean, lifestyle is a beat, luxury, fashion, consumer, FMCG, environment, social causes, politics, city in general. And every beat has its own set of like editors and journalists. So if you go to a wrong person, as in a person following a crime beat, and I'm trying to sell a shampoo bottle, obviously he will block me. So that is where also, the intelligence of, or it's actually common sense, you have to sort of maintain your relation, thinking about a lot of such aspects, not pinging them at the wrong time, or actually now it has become pinging. Earlier we used to obviously mail and call, but now a lot of it has shifted to WhatsApp thanks to the new normal. So yeah, we are pitching stories on WhatsApp also. So it's become a lot more friendly. But yeah, so coming back to the jargon bit in public relations. Okay, what is a press release? 1 second, there's somebody waiting. Yeah. So a press release is a neatly drafted document that you send on behalf of your client to a set of media. You send it individually also, or you want to like mass blast it. Not a good practice, but when you have 300 people on your list to send to, you tend to mass blast. And a press release is written in an inverted pyramid format. It's like this. So the top paragraph will comprise your 5 W's and 1 H, which is your why, what, where, when, and how. Sorry, it's 4 W's and 1 H. So that's sort of your first paragraph should always be that. Of course, before that, there is a somebody needs to mute. Sabse pehle, there is a headline, there is a date and a city line, and then comes a sub headline if that's required. And then we come to the first paragraph, which will say the 4 W's and 1 H, which is what happened, where did it happen, when, and why. And then you come to how. Okay, and then subsequently you come to, like, let's say if it's a Titan Industries or a new watch launch press release, then my second or third paragraph will become the quote from the MD or the CEO of that division or the company, right? And then the fourth or fifth paragraph, not going very long unless it demands, but I think 2-pager is a long release, but typically 1 page is a decent enough release, which should cover all the information that a journalist requires. After the quote, we come to explaining the concept a bit and the other details like pricing, where is it available, if it is a product release. This is just an example, but this neatly drafted document, which covers your message, is called a press release. Is there an option of showing or sharing? Yeah, Dhanashri, can I share my screen?
You can share actually. Yes. Just try doing it.
Yeah. No, I can. For that, I'll have to quickly just open the right document. Okay.
Done?
Yes. Is everybody able to see this? Yeah. So see, this is the logo. So basic hygiene, your format, your font size, justified, aligned. So this is your headline. This is your sub headline, date and city line, and then your first paragraph, which is, so this is how we write a press release. Yeah, see, we come to the quote. Here, we try to give some numbers which could be relevant. Media is also very number hungry, so they want figures and stats to their story. Of course, it sort of rounds up the story, right? It sort of substantiates it. So giving numbers is very, very important. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, then there's like a second quote. And this is called a boilerplate. What we mean by this is about your company. It's like giving information, but a very, like a gist of it. That sort of summed up information about the company. Yeah. Okay. Everybody okay with press release, the concept? Yeah, this is basically the base of it. Then, we come to what is expected out of a PR person when a client ropes in a PR firm. First of all, there's like a competitive pitch. So a client will go to maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 PR firms and send out an RFP, which is request for proposal. So a client wants to, or let's say a company, it's a new entrant, it's a startup. They have been in the market for 7 to 8 months and they're doing great now. And they feel that they should rope in a PR approach to their, business and maybe tell the world that they are here and they're doing good. So it's a big support, right? PR telling so many people about how you're doing. So So there is something called a request for proposal, where they will put down, what is my expectation? What is my company message? This is what I want from my PR firm. This is my end goal. I want to reach here. I'm here. So, my current positioning and my desired positioning. So I want my firm to fill in the gap, right? The bridge the gap. So sometimes RFP is very, very clear and to the point. And sometimes it's not very clear. It's actually sometimes even on the phone when client is like, let's just start. Okay. So yeah, flexibility, you got to keep that. And then different firms will sort of put together a proposal, a PR proposal. Dhanashree, I'm going to share my screen again. Sorry. I feel I just right now have the right examples for it. So might
No
as well.
problem. We can have this, your screen. We can have
Yeah.
it. All right.
Is everybody with me? Can you just unmute and tell me all going okay? Am I too fast? Okay, not okay? Please just give me a signal.
No, it's
It's
perfect.
okay.
Okay, found it.
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. You are doing great.
I'm giving you same sheets.
So cute. Okay, so now if you're able to see this, let me, yeah. Again, Oiriksha, I'm showing you, yeah. Communications proposal. Okay, we decode their brief. What is it that they have told us and how? So sometimes we also call it how we understand it. So, right, you've given us the brief, but this is how we've decoded it. Okay. Then we do a little bit of environment scan, ecosystem mapping. That, of course, I mean, my client knows about his or her competitor the best, and I'm not going to tell him that. But I am definitely going to do a media scan and say that such and such stories are being covered. Media is liking this particular topic in your industry and space. Okay, so this is an environment scan for my client. Issues and bottlenecks. Again, anything can be a part of this. Audience mapping, they know their TG, but we also want to tell them and sort of refine it and at least tell them that this is what we've understood from your brief. We come to objective, strategy, how we will achieve that objective. It's, communications approach, basically. And then we put our activity rollout, that this is all that we want to do for you, and it's possible through us. Message we need to drive, putting down the narrative. So everything depends on how good the brief was, but then you sort of break it down. That thought leadership is another thing that I will come to now. Giving them ideas, dropping them like little ideas over here so that they understand that this is our bent of mind and does it really go with their thought, and are we getting it? I mean, this is longish, but then we give them a sense of media universe, that this is all where these are the publications where we see you tomorrow through us. Okay, so there is English, Hindi, and we tell them that who are the key people who are writing on your space, watching your space, writing, frequently on auto. And yeah, and we tell them how we work. These are the deliverables. I mean, we divided it into quarter 3, quarter, whatever, but yeah. So just to give you an idea, this is what we submit to our client, and it's called communications proposal. Post that, they see that and they make up their mind, yes or no. And, and if it has to happen, it converts and we start working. We put together dashboards, activity dashboards, which are actually, some agencies follow that, some do not. But we put together dashboards, which is actually month on month, week on week. So it's like an activity tracker. The usual, then there is, like client servicing, a lot of things are a part of it. You have your cadence calls, you have, your fortnightly calls to figure out how the workflow is going. Are we achieving our targets? And the day we get our stories and it's like a media convert, like I get something in Economic Times, I get something in your story, that happiness or the level of achievement and success is something else, because people pay like $1 lakh plus for that much of space or more. Actually, sometimes it goes to electronic media, it's like 3 lakhs is the starting. So sometimes people even ask for, can you evaluate what you have got as a coverage? And then this is called AVE. It used to happen earlier. We do not do it anymore. It is like, let's say, in a newspaper, I have a 1 or a 2 column snippet. Then they would ask me to, I will calculate it like length, breadth of the column. Then, if this is the space, into 3 or into 5. This nobody really understands and knows that who came up with 3 or 5, but that was like 3 times the effort, because in advertising you will straight away pay for this space, but because it is a relationship based and so much effort went into it, we went to 10 people and then 1 person said yes, so we do into 3 or into 5, and that is your PR value of what we got you on the table. So that is how ROI is calculated. If a marketing head has put in, let's say, 10 crores as a marketing budget, then what is the ROI? 10 crores as a PR budget, it doesn't happen though. So what is the return on investment? So that is why AVE is required. But I'm telling you, this used to happen long back. Very few, 1 or 2, 3, 4 agencies follow it now. A lot of us do not. We just measure success with, it's like market share versus mind share. So basically that is what PR does. PR drives mind share. You must have heard about so many brands which run on word of mouth. That is actually the best example of PR, and not media relations, but that, word of mouth is a great example. And some brands do not even need any sort of marketing. Look at the brand like Lush or a Royal Enfield. They might be having a PR firm for their group, and of course they do have for Royal Enfield, but the way Royal Enfield word of mouth has worked for the brand, it's a cult brand now. So similarly for Lush, they do not spend on any ad. They do not have budgets for that. They do not allocate any budgets for that. It's been completely working on word of mouth. So that again is like power of PR. Again, something that didn't go well was the whole Maggie case study. You can refer to it. I can also send links later, but that is also where, PR team lacked in managing crisis. Let's talk about crisis management again as a jargon. So I'll just sort of, give you a very 1 paragraph view of what this stands for and what that stands for in PR. Crisis communication is when shit hits the roof. Similarly, what happened in Maggie case or in KFC case, and that happens a lot when there's a customer dealing sort of, scenario. A lot of crisis, hospitality crisis, aviation crisis. So when that happens, the first thing a PR, and then it is expected out of PR. It is not your advertising or, other tools that will do any good immediately for you. What will turn it around is your PR. How efficient is your PR team? How quick were they? So the first and foremost thing is for you to come out in the forefront and not hide, like for the CEO or the founder or whoever is the spokesperson. Media loves to sensitize. Media will love your scandal. Okay, they would want to come and cover it and be the first one to report it. So they'll be out there at the door when your crisis, is sort of at the peak. The first thing is not to, shut the doors and be like, okay, we do not want to talk to them. Issue a statement. The statement goes out from the authorized spokesperson's desk to all the relevant guys. A statement that is, again, your PR person's job, your PR firm's job. They draft it, they quickly get it approved. And sometimes at that time, there's no time to even get it approved. So they just put it out. So yeah, there are some quick tips for managing crisis. And of course, then later it depends on the nature of the crisis and the industry you're in. Sometimes it is not really picked up that well also by media. So it subsides and, has its own depth. But yeah, crisis communication is another very big tool, in the PR world, which is to be looked at and one needs to be good at. What else should I pick up right now? Press release, journalist. Let's just talk about journalist and PR relationship. So while, journalists are also content
Kritika,
hungry.
sorry to interrupt. We have Chinmay who wants to ask a question. Yeah,
Yes, please.
let's quickly do.
As you are saying, crisis management is one of the part of PR. So can we say brand management is also one of the part of PR, or it is a totally different part?
It has now. So earlier PR firms used to only be about PR. Okay. But you see how the world's changing. Now a PR firm has to have an integrated solutions approach. So it should be like a one-stop shop. I'm not saying we've become media buying agency or we've become an advertising agency, but we've certainly become somebody who will give you your social media, your influencer outreach. So yes, brand communications has become a part of it. Digital has become a part of it. Bigger PR firms, you don't really have to go, to 4 or 5 different touch points for all these. So yeah, you're right. Brand communication is becoming a part of it, though not fully. If you have somebody in-house who is your brand consultant, then that is also the person who the PR firm will work with. Earlier, it used to be only the marketing heads, but now, yeah, I mean, it's like an integrated 360 approach, which all our PR people want to, get to. And in fact, bigger firms have already become that. So yeah, you don't have to go to 4 or 5 different agencies for that solution. Yeah. Anyone else has a question? This was a good question.
Kritika, there is one more question in the chat box. We've got somebody there. Hold on. So is PR and advertising have same common things, or are they interlinked?
So cute. Okay. So no, they are interlinked in a way with the message that's going. So let's say I am the PR person for Medanta Hospital here in Delhi, or I should have given a Pune example. Let's say of Domino's, okay? And if Domino's is putting out a really big out of the world promotional offer, then they want to advertise in, the regional media. So it's that the PR person should be aware of it as a communications person, because it will go in sync. If they are putting out the offer there, I will also make my press note and send it out to city media, okay, informing that this offer is there, your customers can avail it. Now, do you remember seeing entertainment pages in newspapers or listings pages, where what's happening in your city on this Saturday, this Sunday, offers or, quick buys. So that is the place where this particular piece will come in. And if I'm lucky, then yeah, I will hit about 2 to 3 media hits through my approach, whereas my client can go ahead with advertising it in, a bigger space, or maybe 10 odd regional papers, and he thinks he's covered the region with it. Let's say सिर्फ पुणे में है अगर ये offer, तो पुणे के papers को दे दिया, regional language dailies को दे दिया, तो उसने अपना अलग advertise किया और मैंने अपना अलग job किया. But मुझे पता होना चाहिए कि ये message है. This is the message that's going out this month. This is what the sales team is doing, or this is what the advertising team is doing. And so we should be in sync. Sometimes not, because not everything is PRable. A lot of things are taken as promotional today by media. So if it's an Economic Times and I go to them with my brand story and I say, this is what we're doing and my brand is really blah, blah. They want to cover the industry, the concept, the category, the space, other people in it. They say that if we cover a standalone story, unless you are a Tata, it looks like we are promoting you. So in that case, you might as well go to the advertising wing, our marketing wing. So that is how now editorial has also become a lot more tough. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. But means PR is only work for brand to brand, and advertising is for brand to audience or for customers, right?
So advertising will be like a quick, No, PR is not brand to brand. PR is also from we're taking a piece of information from our brand to the TG, to the customers only, to prospect. It's like different eyeballs hitting it. अब आपने भी पढ़ लिया और मेरे दादा ने भी पढ़ा है सेम छोटा सा प्रेस जो आया है मेरे थ्रू PR, and but I might go and purchase that pizza thinking aaj offer hai, but dada might not. So PR is like we're hitting so many eyeballs, usme se itna ratio to rehta hai that who is your direct TG and who is not, but ek mind share capture zarur hota hai. Sab जिन्होंने भी वो न्यूज़ देखी है, वो छोटा सा कॉलम भी पढ़ा है, they will remember it and they'll say hey मैंने आज देखा था यहाँ पे डील चल रही है या तो I mean yeah, but advertising is like there's a different ROI through ads and flyers and promotions. But we are also, we're not brand to brand, we are brand to TG only, target group. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question?
Yes,
Okay.
Gitika, we have another one.
Yeah.
Can we say that PR is the brand making of our client? Hold
One
on.
second. I read another one from Preeti.
Okay.
Can we say let's just open the floor to Q&A only, Dhanashree, because it's 12:44.
Yes, I think we can do that as well. Anybody who wants to ask?
As it is covering all aspects will be difficult, and I didn't realize it myself, and I don't know what all I've spoken about and how much I've covered and how much of it is left, but we can take Q&A. Can we say that PR is the brand making of a client? Totally is the brand building. Every small thing that you do in PR, one wrong release and you're gone. One little wrong information and it's gone. I mean, okay, nothing might happen, but the media guys know that, oh my God, what just landed in my inbox and this is wrong information. He'll remember that, and tomorrow if he meets your client, I mean, if he meets that brand spokesperson, he'll be like, your PR guy sent me this. It's just the perception, right? It changes it. So yeah, you have to very carefully, intelligently drive your client's positioning and the whole PR media outreach, because very small mistake can also hamper their positioning and how it is perceived in media. So there's something what we call as friends of brand. Bigger brands do it, like Kohli or the bigger public figures will become your advocates. They will become brand advocates because they automatically endorse your brand, because उनके lifestyle में शायद आपका brand है, they believe in it. हर चीज advertising नहीं होती, हर चीज brand ambassador नहीं करता. कई बार आप खुद ही concept से इतने खुश हो कि आप you want to have that particular product in your life and you end up endorsing it, maybe on Twitter, on Instagram, you've shown a picture and said, oh, amazing products, I've been using them. These guys become your brand advocates organically. So yeah, I mean, the whole brand building exercise, PR plays a very big part. And sometimes I'm telling you, the perception in the market is such that not too much of importance given to PR, but when the pandemic happened, the first wave, second wave, a lot of people thought that, now PR industry will go down the drain, but the first one to pick up was PR, because everybody, all the clients, all the brands, everybody in every industry wanted to tell their audience that, hey guys, we are alive, we've sustained, we've thrived. This is what we did in the pandemic, we expanded. So how will you tell when you don't have budgets for advertising, right? You will tell through PR. So, the power of PR actually came alive and back again in the pandemic, everybody saw. Okay, we come to Preeti's question.
Yeah, we have one more question.
Ma'am, explain why you want to work in PR. Okay, so there was a time when it was my first job in IPAN. I used to tell my seniors that, so look at Sunsilks. I used to obviously take my brand manager's name and I said they prioritize JWT, who used to be their advertising agency. And I said, they look at JWT like as if they are God. GWT, is like God to them, and so much of respect they get. And why do they look down upon PR, and why is it? But then that that was a very amateurish way of looking at it. PR had its power that time also. It has its power now as well. It's all about how intelligently you do that job. Be smart about it. So having done it for 15 years, now I want to do this only. Now I can't do anything else and want to do this. It's just, you fall in love with, Preeti, it is when your stories come out in media, something that you'd written with, what you typed out has come out in media. And of course, that is also what happens in journalism when you get bylines and you get your stories out. It's another level of kick. When you ghost writing for a CEO, ghost writing is when a CEO, you're writing a particular article on his behalf, but these are your words and you've understood space so well that you can write like him. And then you get it approved and it comes out in media tomorrow. And then you're like, wow, you know what, I've written it. And also the success, of when you hear it from your client that this is what I wanted, you got me this, super happy, win-win for both. Plus the people interaction that happens here. So one needs to be really like a people's person if you are in PR, and that automatically happens. Ends up happening also. You open up a lot, you learn so many new things. And the fun of working on the firm, the agency side, and not a brand is that being in an agency, I've learned so much about startups now. Before that, corporate, FMCG, aviation. That time I worked on Kingfisher Airlines when it was actually the king of good times. Entertainment. I've had little exposure in film and music PR. So it's just the variety which will give you the kick. So I feel it's never really boring in the PR circle. So that is why I want to be here always. And there's so many outlets. I mean, this, tomorrow you can be the corpcom guy, in-house PR person, we write a book. So yeah, communication has a lot of legs there. Everybody's communicating, right, every day. PR agency and advertising agencies, both are different concepts. Yes, PR and advertising are different concepts, and even firms. Bigger groups will have a PR and advertising firm under them, but as totally different divisions. But they'll still be different. You can be an integrated group who does this also and that also, but then the divisions are separate. Ma'am, how much of a damage control strategy is available to a PR firm if their intended campaign backfires? What are some go-to strategies? Can you explain how much of a damage control strategy, you mean crisis, is available to a PR firm if their intended campaign backfires? You have to come up with a plan B almost this quickly. Otherwise, if your plan A has backfired, then I cannot remember what was the name of Maggie's PR firm, but it was fired. It was fired because they could not manage crisis very well. So yeah, what are some go-to strategies? That's actually a very deeper, that's like another chapter on crisis communications, but it will depend on a lot of factors. किस इंडस्ट्री का था क्राइसिस, वो क्लाइंट किस इंडस्ट्री में है, स्पेस क्या है, उसका मीडिया कितना एक्टिव है. यू सी द होल आर्यन खान बिट, बॉलीवुड, पॉलिटिक्स, these are some beats that are very, very active, and every minute media is reporting on it. It's like they're loving it right now. But so depend करता है कि आपका इंडस्ट्री क्या है. कई बार कुछ क्राइसिस B2B में, लॉजिस्टिक्स में हो जाते हैं. मीडिया doesn't really give a lot of focus to that. Like वो अडानी वाला जो अभी ड्रग्स पकड़े गए हैं, so पता नहीं. You see how it was totally sidelined and subsided only from media point of view. So yeah, the strategies totally depend on where you are at that time, and you come back with how quickly you come back with the plan B. yeah, totally. I mean, Twitter, Instagram going viral, all of this will sort of, it harms, and it's difficult for a PR person to get videos off the internet that fast. It doesn't happen. Once gone, it's out, it's viral. And then you just have to tell your client to ignore some and, you know, take care of what you can, whatever is in your hand. We all have to be a little realistic also. I mean, PR suddenly does not become God. Self-satisfaction and happiness. Yes. Self-satisfaction. Yeah. I mean, if you get happiness in it, you'll know it 1 year of working this side. And typically almost everybody ends up falling in love with PR. Manisha, ma'am, what are the career opportunities available in PR and what skill sets do we need? Okay, we definitely should have a flair for writing, because writing, it comes in handy. You should enjoy client servicing, because at some point you'll be doing that. It is a little bit of documentation. You work on presentations, you work on a lot of Word docs, Excel sheets, but basic. It's nothing like finance mein jaisa hota waisa nahi hai. Basic skill set, you should be jaisa kuch nahi hai, but if you're an extrovert, it helps. A basic sense of, you know, decoding and working with different people, because it is a lot about teams. Dynamic culture hota hai. Silos mein kaam nahi karna hai, individual mein mere desk pe, I will submit this to you. No, it doesn't happen. A lot of meetings, ideation, brainstorming, being creative. Yeah, this is what we need.
So there are 2 more questions. Yeah.
Apekshit, if I have a startup, where should I approach first, PR or? You should approach a PR firm first. Advertising में budget बहुत होता है. 1 lakh से starting है, electronic में 3 lakh से starting है. कुछ category C media आपको फिर भी 25, 10, 13,000 में कुछ दे देगा, but that will not matter much because eyeballs ही नहीं मिलेंगी. I mean, you will not be able to measure कि, you know, who have the right people read my ad. Government PR policies and public affairs comes into picture. Yes, that's a different ball game. But look at BJP. I mean, everybody today is like the way Narendra Modi has done his PR, or whoever is doing BJP's PR. And of course, there are, I mean, they're talked about so much, so something must be good. Okay, any publicity is good publicity, we say. So negative or positive, they're doing a good job. But having said that, political PR is a different ball game altogether. Political media also works very differently. The hours they follow, the news pattern they follow, the small things they pick on. So a lot, yeah, it's a different ball game. So that was Chinmay's last question. Oh, Chinmay's was the last question. Anyone else? We still have 5 minutes.
I think we had one more question. Have we answered all of them? Let me also check once. We had we also had Apekshit's question, I guess. So anyway, any more questions, guys? If you have,
yeah, if not, can I start PR as freelancer? Totally, but ideally you should work with a firm first, because it's good and important to know how the cookie crumbles. थोड़ा agency के साथ काम करके समझ आ जाता है कि okay, इस तरीके से, you know the drill then. So, and also freelancer बनने के लिए आपको उतना network connects चाहिए. एक release आई है, फटाफट से translate करवानी है. So, you know, छोटी-छोटी बातें होती हैं, but you'll know better if you work with a firm first for a good 2-3 years, and then you see if you really want to do that. But yeah, I started working in 2006. That was my first job, and in 2018 is when I started on my own. I mean, it was a freelance setup, but then I didn't like the name so much, so I made an LLP out of it. So yeah, and now, I mean, we have a team, a lean team. It's a very small setup though, But yeah, you know, when it's time, you know, you'll know it when it's time to go solo or work as a freelancer.
मैम इंडिया में अभी पीआर की सबसे बड़ी एजेंसी कौन सी रिकॉग्नाइज करने वाली?
3-4 बता दूं ना? एक नहीं, Ad Factors, Genesis, Conan Wolf. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name. What is this? Sorry, Ogilvy. Ogilvy, yes. When it started, it was advertising firm and they're pretty big on that though. But yes, Ogilvy PR is also very, very good. Abhi, the dairy milk thing they came out with, do you remember? Where they recreated the older version. Yeah, that was Ogilvy. A lot of them, a lot of good ones are there. But yeah. I'm forgetting one name and it's irritating me. 1 second. It starts with MSL. Sorry, so sorry. I kept thinking MSW. MSL is also a quality name and a very good place to work in and even to be with as a client, I'm saying. MSL, Genesis, Conan Wolf, Ad Factors. Then there are others also. Avian is very, very good. Value 360 is good. A lot of upcoming, emerging boutique firms. Boutique firms would be somebody who, you know, specializes in a particular niche. So I'm not everywhere, but yes, when it comes to lifestyle, luxury, PR, you come to me because I only do that. So that sort of is a boutique firm, which at any given point of time will be about 10 to 12 clients so that you give due attention to your clients. Yes, there's a question. You've raised your hand, Rajrathan. Yes.
My question is in Hindi. Madam, suppose कोई एक्टर मैडम अभी क्रिटिसिज्म से चल रहा है, मतलब निगेटिव, उस पे बहुत ज्यादा निगेटिविटी के कमेंट्स हो रहे हैं, तो मैडम पीआर टीम कैसी वर्क करती है?
सॉरी, कोई एक्टर क्रिटिसिज्म के उसमें मान लेते हैं आर्यन खान.
हाँ, तो मैडम ये कैसे वर्क करती है और आपकी कितने लोगों की टीम होती है कि ये सपोज उसके ऊपर कुछ ब्लॉग लिखना है पॉजिटिव, तो कितने लोगों की टीम होती है कि ये
4 to 5 people. अगर completely एक इमेज बिल्डिंग करना है या करेक्शन करना है या एक छोटा सा क्राइसिस ही माना जाएगा इस टाइम इसको, बिकॉज और एक और एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं आर्यन का, नहीं वो तो एक्चुअल क्राइसिस है, बट in between a friend of mine manages Karthik Aryan के काफी articles आए से that he has said no to Dostana, he has said no to Karan Johar, he's out of Karan Johar's production house. So a lot of negative articles came on him that, you know, stardom has hit him you know, sort of like in a wrong way and all that. So uska she also, again I said that you have to ignore a certain something because abhi digital PR mein it spreads. So but then yahan pe relationships kaam aate hain. So she had friends in places like Pink Villa or Viral Bhayani, the one who was very active. He's a photographer, but then he also charges and puts your post on his Instagram. He has a huge following. So ऐसे influential media से आप request करके कुछ positive articles करवा देते हो, then you have to keep, I mean Bollywood में तो camps चलते हैं, right? So you cannot write, you see अभी शाहरुख खान के ऊपर कुछ भी negative नहीं है because it's the Shahrukh camp. So everybody is like sympathizing with Aryan Khan and the whole of Bollywood, if you see. So yeah, तुम्हारी, you know, the loyalty comes out when you need it. So Bollywood and even media will sort of stick with you and very loyal and not report anything negative. And those who are out of them, you see, either you convert them and ask them to write a little neutral, एकदम से नेगेटिव से पॉजिटिव नहीं लिखवा सकते उनसे, 1-1.5 या 2 हफ्ते के बाद आप उनसे एक न्यूट्रल चीज लिखवा सकते हो एज अ फॉलो अप स्टोरी, वो भी if they agree. So छोटे छोटे टैक्टिक्स होते हैं हाउ टू सॉर्ट ऑफ कम अराउंड. अगर 10 नेगेटिव हैं तो उनमें से आप 3 या 4 को न्यूट्रल कर सकते हो और 4 और पॉजिटिव प्लांट कर सकते हो. So that is how you will balance it out. Manasvi, has the power of PR in politics increased since the success of PM Modi's campaign? Has PR advertising changed the way politics works in our country? No, it has not changed the way politics works in our country. Government PR anyway, even Congress के time PR team उनका super strong होता है and they मतलब it's not how we guys work. It's like split second में वहाँ पे changes हैं, news है, updates हैं, statements हैं, बहुत press releases जा रही होती हैं to that beat. To political media and press information bureau PIB, that is who they work with, and बहुत quick press conferences होती हैं, turnaround time बहुत कम होता है. So political PR ball game is a different one. You are on your toes and ऐसा नहीं है कि हम सोचें oh government employees, वहां पे ऐसा कोई vibe नहीं है. They are all like super smart, super educated, super experienced, rich learning sort of people who are handling their system. Yeah. So, I mean, Narendra Modi, I mean, BJP के time में ये notice जरूर हुआ है because there was so much negativity about the whole thing that, I mean, positivity और notice हो रही थी कि media को, you know, they've sort of bought the media and media is always writing or speaking about them positively. So, PR उनका और notice में आ रहा था. That is like बहुत strong PR किया है, so to say.
I think we've got a lot of questions, right? So, and you've already answered it great. So I hope guys, you're all clear with it. And in case if you have any doubts, you all can get in touch, follow us on Instagram, and any questions, further queries, you can always write it to us. You know, we can definitely take it that way. So thank you so much, Gitika. That is an interesting session.
Thank you. I enjoyed it myself. You know, I wasn't expecting कि ऐसे towards the end interactive हो जाएगा, or I had not thought about it, the flow. I will go where, then first I will talk about this and that. I just went, you know, ahead with it.
It is lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you. Hope we connect again, but all the best for your future, and whatever you choose, media or PR, you will all do great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you so much, Geetika. It was
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sure it was a thought-provoking session because that's why we have so many questions here, and you have answered them, addressed them quite well, and made them think in the right direction. And we are also looking forward to the next session, which will, I think, further answer so many of their doubts. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah. So guys, before I introduce you to the second speaker, let me tell you, we are also building India's first council for mass communication students. So if you are interested and if you want to be a part of it, then please follow us and or DM us on Instagram. Our handle is PR Club India. So you can definitely just go for it and do write to us. Well, so while you do that, yes.
Yeah.
So while you do that, let me quickly introduce our next speaker. I think somebody is on. Ujjwala ma'am, can we just mute somebody? I think somebody's unmute here. Okay. All right, so our next speaker is Lynn Miskit. Let me quickly tell you about her. She was born and brought up in a port city, Mangalore. Her educational doors enabled her to develop skills while engaging in many extracurricular activities, including business challenges, music, Model United Nations, theater, and event management at a competitive level. She's currently working as a PR consultant. She has pursued her bachelor's in communications commerce from St. Agnes Institution and master's program from School of Communication and Reputation. She's also passionate about art and culture. So she's right here, and let's quickly over to you, Lynn. Are you here? I think I'd already, let me just check once. She was here. Hey, Mant, are you here?
Hello.
Yes, hi Lynn. There
Hey,
you
hi.
go.
I'm so sorry. 1 minute, just a last minute crisis. So that's why I had to pick up that call.
Oh, okay. No problem. So,
While inputting on my camera. Uh, yes, I think it should be fine.
done.
Hi, guys. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm so sorry to keep you all waiting, and I really hope you all are doing well.
Lynn, we can't see you. Can everybody still see Lynn? Because I can't see. Ujjwala ma'am, are you there?
Oh, yes, yes, I'm here. A very warm welcome to the second speaker. And I'm just like some kind of on the side, I had to attend to something. So,
Okay.
but a very warm welcome to you, Lynn, to
Thank
the
you so
Department
much,
of
ma'am.
Communication and Journalism of Savitribai Phule Pune University. And we have a very enthusiastic audience here. And they had so many questions in the first session. And they are trying to connect what the speaker said, Gitika said earlier, with the current events. And I'm really happy to see this interest, at least trying to get answers to it. And I'm sure you will also be able to address their queries and guide them in the right direction. These are all students of our postgraduate courses that are like masters as well as postgraduate diplomas. And public relations is a part of our syllabus, though we haven't started teaching it yet because our academic year started only last week. So I'm looking at it more as an induction lecture rather than a proper theoretical lecture that teaches how to practice PR, but more to give them an idea and get them thinking about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the warm welcome. Thank you so much, Dhanshri. And sorry, guys, I kept you all waiting.
Lynn can't hear you. Are you on mute by any chance? Or you are speaking, but we can't see you and we can't hear you.
You guys.
Lynn? Hold on, guys. Let me just. Ujjwala ma'am, can you hear Lynn and see her?
Hi, am I audible now? Am I visible?
Yes, yes. Now you are,
All
Lynn.
good, right? I mean,
Thanks.
there are no tech issues, right? I hope, fingers
Okay.
crossed, it remains
Yeah.
this way too. Hi guys, I'm sorry to keep you all waiting, but technically, I mean, I think you guys just observed the whole setup where there were a lot of technical glitches, and this has technically been my life, I think, since March 2020, and I'm not sure how soon this is gonna end. But it's amazing to have you all here on a Wednesday afternoon. Uh, Welcome back to college and good luck with your course before I initiate the conversation. So, the purpose today, why I'm exactly here, is to share my journey and my learnings with you all. I mean, if I'm talking about my journey and learnings, my journey and learnings are just up to a span of 2 years, 2.5 years now, and nothing much apart from that. But I've exactly been in a similar position like you guys. Way back in 2018, where I was like making a career decision out there as to what exactly to do next and why I should be doing it, and is it something that I will be enjoying for the rest of my life, or at least for a significant amount of period, and if it's something that will give me my awakening, and something that keeps me going. So a little brief about myself. I'm a BCom graduate in commerce, studied in Mangalore in a college name, St. Agnes Institutions. Why I chose BCom? Okay, that's another story. So apparently, ever since I was in college and people kept asking me, what do I want to do? I always said I want to be a journalist. And why I wanted to be a journalist, I kept telling them that, my name would appear every day on the newspaper, right? I mean, how cool is it? I mean, I tell stories to people out there on a daily basis, and my name appears every day. And people, almost remember me on a regular basis reading of my name out there. So how cool is that? But, I always thought that becoming a journalist wouldn't, take a lot of effort. It's all about knowing how to write your stuff well and how to convey it out there. And I kind of loved writing, so I thought maybe I was meant for it. Whereas everyone else in my college, in my school, decided to become doctors, engineers, and choose and CAs, and go in that in those mainstream careers. Then 11th and 12th happened, where I had to actually make a career decision, and I was still clueless as to what to do. But I wanted to do journalism. But then later, I was asked questions like, "Would you be able to handle a lot of theory subjects?" And I knew that I was not meant for a lot of. I couldn't, cope with a lot of theory subjects either. So practical was still okay with me, and hence I chose commerce. And I also networked with a lot of people while making a career decision back then. A lot of journalists and people out in the mass communications verticals who spoke about you don't really need to be a grad in journalism or somebody with a master's or a grad degree in arts in order to become someone successful in the mass communication field. So business happened because business happened, and I'm glad it happened because it helps me having an understanding as to how everything works, whether it's something to do with science, arts, or anything under the sky, right? And unless and until you don't know how exactly the business ought to be, you can't really function, right? You can't really run the show. You can't be the ringmaster of your own circus. So that's why commerce was my calling. Took up commerce, but while doing my graduation, I kept myself engaged in a lot of other activities. Like we used to have activities like being a campus RJ or taking up internships. Maybe there are these platforms like a Chatterbox Technologies. Maybe you guys can look it up, where you'll, as students, you'll tend to explore a lot of internships over there with a lot of significant FMCG brands. So I kept doing that being in Bangalore, and would try my best to write up blogs or do anything and everything possible. Basically, I took a chance with every opportunity that came my way and enjoyed doing what I was doing. Now, 3 years after my undergraduation, I had to again make a decision as to what I was supposed to do. So that's where I got introduced to Mr. Amit Prabhu, who is one of the well-known names in the PR industry in India, where he made a visit. He paid a visit to my college, just like how I'm meeting you guys out here through a screen, but that was a physical meetup back then, where he told me, he conveyed to us a story about his life as to how he took a transition from law to communication and did PR and got to work in one of his one of his dream jobs in the US in Chicago. I think he also worked. I remember vividly as to what exactly he shared, where he was a part of the Obama campaign back then. And that really intrigued me, and I was like, yes, this is something what I want to do. And that's where I started researching about PR and seeing what exactly does it take to be a successful PR professional out there? What does it need to be a PR? And how can you become a PR? I chose to do my diploma, my master's at School of Communication and Reputation. And if in case you guys are wondering, why did I choose? Because I did network with the alumni out there to understand as to why they chose the course out there, which would motivate me to choose the course out there. And that's where they told me that SCO was a place which trained people as to how exactly they can be ready out there for the industry. I mean, it's just not that they train students with regard to how understanding how Edward Bernays back then wrote an entire encyclopedia about public relations, but it gives you an experience as to how the entire setup of the industry works like. So, long story short, took up a course at SCORE. One of the best parts about doing my master's there was getting to network with a lot of people directly from the PR industry and understanding as to how they function and they work on a daily basis, and how a day in the world of a PR executive looks like. And that's where my journey started. A little about my journey. I worked with MSL, one of the largest PR agencies across the world, uh, based out of I worked with the Bombay branch, where I primarily worked only in the healthcare vertical, service clients like Cipla, Roche, Pfizer, Boehringer and Ingelheim, Hinduja Hospital. Now I work with AV&V, where I service clients like Fortis Hospitals. Uh, what exactly I do as an executive over there, my job is to tell the story about my brand out there to the media. So I'm basically like a mediator in between my brand and the media, where I talk about my brand on a regular basis, on sometimes mostly on a daily basis, but sometimes I would say on a regular basis, and I say why regular basis, as to how exactly the brand is functioning, any developments with regard to the brand. Now, if you guys think, what are the stories I tell about my brand to the media? Now, when you're in a healthcare vertical, what stories do you think does a brand talk to the media out there? If I could just get some responses from you all, what is your understanding about storytelling? Okay, so apparently, for an example, if I'm handling a Fortis hospital, just to give you all an idea of how a media outreach looks like, you all may randomly Google, right, those articles if having lemon coffee helps you lose weight, or are people, or is it healthy to utilize coconut oil to cure yourself from dengue? Where do you think these insights come from? Where do you think these expert quotes come from? Obviously, right, the journalist won't go to the hospital to take the quote. There must be someone in between to be conveying it to the journalist to just break the myths or talk about what exactly is happening. I mean, or maybe even about COVID, right? When the journalists were reporting about it, where were the journalists getting the information from? It's basically from the hospitals, but there's someone out there to actually convey the information out to the media to let them know how exactly it's functioning out there in the war zone. I mean, as we all know that hospitals in the 2020 century were basically called as the war zone because we were literally out there in the doctors were literally out there in the forefront fighting and battling the deadly COVID virus. And then there was the media who was reporting about the same. So it was basically what we were doing. Uh, so how does my day look like and how do I function on a daily basis? The day usually starts technically at about 8:30 in the morning, which starts off with an entire, perspective where I'm sitting and reading all the possible newspapers or tracking the news and seeing as to is my brand out there in the news? Is anyone talking about it? What are they talking about it on a negative or positive front? If it's a positive front, we leave it out there, flag it to the client, and done with it. If in case it's something negative, we go back to the client, internally discuss about it, and then go back to the journalist in order to just correct them with regard to the news that they have reported. Um, like my co-speaker, Ms. Geetika, spoke about how PR is also about documentation, how PR is about those presentations or content. Uh, PR is basically a career where even if you get one of the best degrees from any of the universities across the world, it's not exactly a career, it's not exactly a place where that sheet of paper will make you like the best resource out there. It's about how you work on a daily basis. About how you choose to grow as a person. It's about how you choose to improvise on the skills of yours and keep getting better and keep upskilling yourself. So if you think that you're okay with content but not great at content, you can still get into PR because your content can always be reworked and improvised. Because I mean, even on a general basis, you have a lot of apps like a Grammarly or a Quillbot, which actually help you sit and sit and give you an idea as to where exactly you need to improvise on your content. So you don't need to be like, okay, fine, I'm not great at content, so I'm not going to take this up. In the same way, if I'm talking about documentation or having technical skills, every career today, right, is out there. It requires something technical to do. We mostly function with uh, a laptop or a computer setup. And you guys may be wondering, what exactly do publicists require to know on a technical basis in order to be like good at what they do? To just give you a glimpse, the basic softwares you'll need to know in PR is MS Word. So if you're good with your MS Word skills, then you're good to go in PR, because all you need to do is on a daily basis, primarily you'll need to work on a Word document, on an Excel sheet, on a PowerPoint. Yeah, that's the maximum. And then later there are days where you all would maybe try to just step in to help out with editing certain videos or making a nice slide, if a nice slide or a nice flyer kind of a design in order to speak about your brand, if any event is coming up, or any announcement, if there are any announcements to be done. So on a technical basis, it's just these softwares which you need to know, and you don't need to like go and learn like a tally or anything in detail, like even Microsoft Excel. I mean, it's just the basics that you'll need to know, and you don't need to like really go in depth in order to sit and work on an entire database. And your content can always be worked on. And one more thing, what you require as individuals is you need to be proactive and hands-on and active always on your account. The day you have been inducted on an account, like today you guys have been inducted, I mean a week ago you'll have been inducted on your course, right? So in the same way, the day you'll have been inducted on your accounts, that account becomes your baby. I mean, you need to be there for your baby all the time. I mean, you need to see your account as a baby. Make sure as to what's happening about them. Be there for your clients. Be hands-on, responsive to them. To the same era, right? I mean, the millennial and the Gen Z era, where we conveniently decide not to like reply on those WhatsApp messages. We just leave them on read, right? And use them at our convenience. But PR is not something that lets you do that. You'll have to be hands-on and responsive to your clients and your journalists within a response rate of at least 15 to 20 minutes on a realistic basis, or else as soon as possible is something what we function on. And secondly, it's not necessary that you need to be an extrovert to be a PR person out there. It's very important for you to know how to strike a conversation between your stakeholders. Primarily, your stakeholders are your clients, journalists, as well as your own colleagues. If you know how to communicate amidst them and then work as a team, like how Ms. Geetika also mentioned about, it's all about working as a team. It's not about you sit at a desk and think that you can do it all by yourself and then later submit off the work. It doesn't work out like that. You need to be like responsive, and you need to keep each other informed as to what's happening. And the last, if in case you guys think that PR is a very glamorous career, let me break the myth for you that no, it's not a glamorous career. So basically, I got this. I normally heard it from a lot of people when I was choosing a career in PR, where they told me about, why do you want to choose a career in PR? Don't you think you should choose like a desk job? What I do on a regular basis is a desk job. I'm always conditioned to that one chair working all the time. Yes, of course, there are events and stuff, but primarily all we do is a desk job where, like any other techie out there working for a tech firm, we do work at a PR firm, sitting at our desks. We don't like run away all the time. Events happen, but they don't happen on a regular basis. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm done sharing some of my insights. We'll have an open Q&A, and I'll be able to just answer your questions and let you know what exactly does it take to be a PR consultant.
I think, Lynn, I think we already have somebody raising hand. We have Raj Ratan. Raj Ratan, do you want to ask any question, or is this hand raised from the previous session? What is it? Because I see the hand raised since a long time. So
Previous session.
from the previous session, okay.
Lower your hand and Raj.
Yeah, lower your hand. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Anybody else who wants to ask? Lynn would love to address your questions. So anybody who has questions, you all can go ahead with it.
Deval has a question. Deval, go ahead.
Yes, hello, ma'am. also in the previous lecture and currently we are like, I heard a lot about the media and how PR and basically PR we have to deal with media a lot. So what is better, should we go for mainstream journalism first and then get into PR, so that we have an overall experience of how the minds of journalists work, or should we actually just head on go with PR experience first in any firm and then start our career directly in PR? Because I have heard mixed reviews about it. So what would you suggest as a working professional?
You are mute, Lynn. You are
Yeah,
mute.
then
I'm so sorry. Devin, thank you for your question, but I just wanted to ask you one question. Do you want to do PR or do you want to do journalism? You want to get into PR, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to get into PR, it's not required that you need to take up a course in journalism and do journalism in order to do PR. I mean, see, I come from a BCom background. I had nothing to do with PR in it. It's basically as to how you understand the functioning of a business. Like, for example, if I take, okay, let me just take a very common brand, for example. Let me take Lay's. Lay's is a product, is a brand under the PepsiCo group, right? So, what all can you recall about Lay's if you look at it? I mean, it's potato chips. You get to see a lot of campaigns where people had those smile campaigns, right? Where you had those, you know, packets where people kept holding it and they kept clicking pictures and stuff like that. I mean, not sure if you have ever observed it, but I mean, see, like a brand like Lay's, I mean, I don't think, I mean, you've just got to think about how the function, I mean, the business of Lay's works like. I mean, the kind of awareness you'd want to raise around it. So when I'm talking about awareness, it's all about how you speak about. I don't think you need to do a course in journalism. You just need to have the ideas to think about how you can talk about the story of Lay's to the people out there. Know how to map your stakeholders. So if in case you're going to a journalist, maybe it could be like a lifestyle journalist or a business journalist. So when you go to a business journalist, you need to talk about how the brand is functioning on a revenue perspective, or what are the new, or that's when you go to an economic times, or if you go to like a brand equity, you talk about how you all are like expanding new ideas with regard to a campaign on it. If you want to reach out to your stakeholders, maybe like me, I mean, who I'm a consumer of Lace, you all would like need to go to an influencer like maybe an Alia Bhatt to talk about how she loves Lace and how she can, reach out to a viewer like me who follows her on an Instagram in order to target me as your uh, customer for the product. So basically, it's about understanding. See, I mean, you need to understand that all your streams, like a journalism, advertising, marketing, PR, and everything, ultimately ends up, Chaitanya, good one. It's like ultimately ends up reflecting on your sales. So you don't really need to explore journalism to get into PR. You need to be into PR you just need to understand as to how the business is working to put your story out there. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think I have a question here, right?
yeah.
Uh, where is more creative freedom, in PR or in advertising? Everything provides you the freedom. PR provides you more freedom because you can go miles and bounds around it to explore so many other criteria in the same. Like, for example, if I take a Lay's itself, I mean, because that's one of the popular campaigns which happen out there. You have something called influencer marketing, which is a vertical under PR, where it happens. So basically, I mean, I'm sure you guys know the difference between between PR and advertising, right? That PR is an organic way of getting things done, and advertising is pumping in a lot of budgets. It's basically a paid format of putting your story out there, and PR is an organic way of putting things out there, where everything functions purely on the basis of relations. So PR gives you a lot of creative freedom with regard to maybe an influencer marketing campaign where you can just choose to do your to put out your brand story through Instagram. And it's basically through relations where you're building relations with influencers out there who have the perfect reach out to them and talk to them about, hey, I'm gonna send you like this hamper of Lay's chips. I mean, would you like to endorse us on your handles? So imagine the conversion rate of the time, I mean, of how many people are actually looking at the particular product on a platform like Instagram, where all you have done is your only expenditure has been is sponsoring maybe Lace packets worth like $100 to the influencer, where they have like done an entire post and you have significantly reached out to 1,000 followers out there. Your job is done. And on another front, you can always reach out to I mean, on a creative perspective, if you're asking me, is one is you're reaching out to an influencer. Second, you can always reach out to a journalist from a Times of India or a NDTV Food or a HT City to talk about the interesting recipes that you can create with Lay's chips. So see, these are like the ideas, right? I mean, I don't think advertising just allows you to choose out an OTT platform or a television or maybe like a billboard. I mean, or go through these ways. But PR gives you so many other ways to explore something on an organic perspective, and I mean, the business also saves a lot with regard to the spends.
Lynn, we have one hand raised here. Ajay.
Yes, right?
Ajay wants to ask a question.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is IPEC strategy team led by Prashant Kishore similar working like PR?
Okay, I didn't get your question. I'm sorry.
IPEC strategy team led by Prashant Kishore.
So what Prashant
Does
Kishore
this
is
work?
doing, Prashant Kishore is doing with
Yes.
political parties during elections. Can it be
Okay.
included or termed or seen as PR work? Strategic
I am
political
not
communication.
informed about this. Sorry, I'm not informed about this part. So I won't be the best to answer this question. I'm so sorry about this. Sorry,
You're
Ajay.
into more corporate branding.
Yeah,
and,
I'm more into the
yeah.
corporate side of it. I've never done anything with regard to PR. So, I mean, with regard to politics. So I'm sorry.
But here, Ujjwala ma'am, what we can do is we'll definitely get in touch with Ajay and, we'll try to address
Yeah.
it at the end of the session. Let's
Definitely.
see.
And I think, Ajay can be a part of the PR club, which is on Instagram, where all your queries will be answered, and
Right.
you'll have some of the best people to be there out for you with any queries you have.
Right.
Can I get some details about PR club? Is it
The
on just
details
Instagram?
I have already put it in the chat box. The
No,
details
is
already
it just
there.
on Instagram? I'm not using Instagram.
Okay.
I think Dhanush, you can just give like an
Is there?
email ID.
Ajay, I'll drop you a message. You can just check, okay? The other option.
Okay,
I'll
ma'am.
just send it to you. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Manisha and Rajratan.
Yes, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, Manisha.
Yes,
A little
yes,
louder,
Manisha.
please. Yeah.
Okay. So ma'am, like after getting so much knowledge about the PR field, I mean, it seems like a really good option to start our career with. But ma'am, I'm really perplexed, like how to really kickstart our career in this particular field, like how to go about it. Would you like to guide us a bit more on that?
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. From the learnings that I have had, so apparently, like you'll know, a degree in BCom, and then later ended up doing like a 10-month program at SCORE. And SCORE gave me this opportunity to intern at a PR firm. So I interned at Edelman. Again, I had interned in the healthcare vertical itself. So an internship of 2 months exactly gave me an understanding as to how and what to expect if I choose a career in PR, and how a day in the life of a PR looks like, if I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life or not. Or I mean, again, the reason why I took up like a 10-month course was because I mean, I was still not sure as to what I wanted to do, right? So, in case rather than investing myself into a 2-month course, I mean, into a 2-year course, I thought of doing like a 10-month program to just get the glimpse of the whole thing. So now, in order, if you want to kickstart well, Manisha, my advice to you would be try being on LinkedIn, try figuring out a lot of people out there working for a lot of PR firms, try connecting with them. One of the columns that you must read on a daily basis, maybe you can just bookmark it on your website, is Reputation Today, which gives you an entire entry as to, it gives you an entry to the world of PR and access to all the people out there who are from various organizations, who write about their thoughts in various columns on the website. So this is one. I mean, follow a website like Reputation Today. Second is get in touch via people on LinkedIn and see how a career in PR is treating them. And maybe if your networks are good enough, try converting those networks into internship opportunities if you're good at it. Or else maybe get in touch with the HRs from PR firms out on LinkedIn and try figuring out a role through an internship in an organization so that you get an idea as to how it works. And maybe PR Club will be able to help you more as well, because that's the one-stop place which gives you a lot of ideas and a lot of networks as well. I hope I answered your question, Manisha.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes. Before Rajaratan asks his question, Ramchandra, you said you joined late. That's okay, not a problem. But if you can follow the chat, or Dhanashri will put that link again of PR Club on Instagram, so that we don't have to repeat everything, but you can still find out more about PR Club and how to go about it. Okay. Yes, Rajaratan.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Madam, when you work as a PR, madam, if you're something positive write about your client, at the time it's happened, you're something wrong or negative comments or your competitor. So at the time, your competitor can take a legal action against you. It is possible, or it has a free of speech rights like journalist.
Okay. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer your question fully, but I'll try my best. So apparently, I used to service a client like Hinduja Hospital a few months back. So Hinduja Hospital was one of the first hospitals in Bombay to test the first ever COVID positive case. And the news that broke out after the patient was tested positive was crazy, because our entire weekend went on in curbing the crisis, where the type of news that came out was, first thing that said is the first patient has been tested positive. The second news that came out was 70 people are tested positive in the hospital who happened to be doctors and nurses, which was not true. So there was a news flash like this which came up in the media. Then the next news that came out was the hospital is shut because they're not able to function because everyone is tested COVID positive. Then the fourth news that came out was so the first three news were with regard to the patient getting tested and the staff members getting tested and the hospital shutting down. So what we had to do is we had to work closely with our client in order to correct the news of the journalist and let the journalist know that, hey, listen, what you have reported is miscommunicated, or not sure from where you got the news, but this is the actual news and this is what's happening. And if in case you want more news on it, you can always get back to our hospital, or our spokespersons would be happy to talk to you and give you an entire brief as to how is it happening and what's happening at the hospital. But still, if the journalist did not agree, then definitely, we could take further steps like reaching out to the editor and then later writing a mail to the editor talking about how the publication is spreading fake news, and then we can take a legal action. So this is how we went through the whole process. This is how we technically go through a whole process. And as PR professionals, we don't really make journalists write anything about our competitors. We only track our competitors to know what our competitors are doing. We don't talk against them, because it's very unethical to talk about, and you're staying in India, and I think you should be knowing the impact of freedom of speech today. But we don't talk against our competitors, but we only keep a track to just see what are they up to and how are they in the news. That's it. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, okay, thanks. That's a thumbs up.
Then I think we have one more person who has raised a hand. Hold on. Let me just check. I can't see it on the screen. Lynn, can you see it? Just check once.
Can you provide links to get the reliable census data? Census data, I'm not sure. Chaitanya, I won't be able to help you with this. I'm so sorry.
Chaitanya, do you want to, reframe it or give us a little detail about it? I mean, what exactly are you looking out for? Can't hear you.
No problem. Any public domain sectors? Are you asking me the census data with regard to? I mean, I don't think this question is with regard to. Okay, so basically, what Chaitanya is focusing on is, I think, the public side of it. So I work basically with corporates, so I won't be able to provide any insights on this. I'm sorry.
Hold on. Chaitanya, you can drop this query on the Instagram handle I told you. Please drop the question there. All right. We'll definitely address. Yes, Lynn.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, is there anything else?
Guys, you have any more questions? There's one person who's raised hand. Ujjwala ma'am, can you see it?
Yeah,
Because I
that's
Miss
Rajratan, who
He's
has
not
not
left.
lowered his hand. Rajratan, please lower your hand. Tanushree, you also can do that as the host.
Yes,
You
I'll
can
do it.
lower his hand.
I'll do it right.
Yeah.
Not sure. Done. Okay. So guys,
Right.
any more questions? Or Lynn, I think you can go ahead with your another segment.
I think I'm good. Have covered most of it.
Yeah, somebody has asked, is it also necessary to do market research for PR?
Right.
Definitely, market research is a very. Is Hemant on call by any chance? Dhanashree?
Pardon?
Hemant was
No,
there.
no.
Let me check. I think. Hold on. No, Hemant is not there as of now.
Oh,
He's
damn.
just
I think
popped out. He's going to enter again. Yes.
Okay, no problem. I think he'd be the best to provide insights on market research because he's been my professor and provided me all the inputs on the same. But
We'll get him in.
yeah.
Yes. We'll get him in just in 2 minutes. We'll get him in. Yeah.
Perfect. So basically, yes, of course. I mean, if in case you want to run a campaign, right? If you want to run a particular campaign, okay. So like I mean, let me go and give you all the background. So why do we use PR? Why do we use advertising or marketing in order to increase the sales, right? So it all works in a circle. I mean, it's like a what goes around and what comes around thing. So if in case you want to sell coconut oil like Parachute, you'll need to make an entire research as to who is your target audience, who are the people who use it the most, where do your people come from, how can you activate the sales in another place. I mean, just imagine that if you're talking about, okay, like how can I give an example? Okay, so basically, y'all must have heard about the brand called Brand Factory, right? Brand Factory is a part of the Future Group, and it's been acquired by Reliance now, but it used to be a part of the Future Group. And Brand Factory is like a one-stop solution for people from all types of backgrounds. Like everyone go there to buy stuff because you get almost all the possible brands on discounted rates. Even I go to a Brand Factory. So how did Brand Factory, build up their entire setup with regard to the whole thing? That's obviously by doing a research on people as to who exactly can be their audience and how exactly they can flock in footfalls into their store by keeping all the possible ranges, all the possible brand ranges. So, in order to function something, in order to activate a campaign, it's very important to do a market research before doing it. Like, for example, maybe something like, I can't really recall a particular product, but we talk about a particular hospital or a particular diagnostics company or a particular okay, let me go backwards. So say like a yogurt is coming into like an ice cream of Ben and Jerry's, which is a part of the Hindustan Unilever brand of Unilever, is getting back to the Indian market. So when Ben and Jerry's is making its entry back to the Indian market under the Unilever brand, under the HUL brand, initially before running an entire campaign, they'll make a research to understand how many people in India know about the brand and what do they know about the brand and what do they and how do they exactly need to convey about their brand to the people out in India so that they increase their sales and they have people to buy the product. We also do this with journalists as well. Like for example, if I'm handling like a brand like a Roche Pharma or a Novo Nordisk or Cipla, I can call up a journalist and make a research as to what do they think about the brand, what do they know about the brand, what more do they like to know about a brand. So there are two ways of doing like a market research where you do on a brand perspective. On a PR perspective, we normally do like dipstick with journalists and they are our influence. They are our target audience out there where we do an entire dipstick with them and then later do a research and go back to our clients and let them know that this is what they want to know and then build a campaign around. Hi, Hemant. Good to have you back.
Hi, happy to be back. Sorry, I couldn't join earlier.
So apparently they had a question with regard to market research. So I thought that there wouldn't be the best. There wouldn't be anyone as best as you to provide an insider on that because even I've learned everything about market research from you. So if you could just
You're being very kind. So we're happy to answer any questions specific to market research. Are they in the chat box? Where can I find these questions?
Apikshit Bansod has asked.
If you don't mind reading out to me, I'll be happy to share my.
Is it necessary to do market research for PR? That's his question.
Well, market research can lead to a lot of answers that are not easily available. So it depends on the situation. For example, if you are launching a brand and you want to see what kind of people will probably buy that brand, it's a good idea to do market research. If you are also in that brand launch, also you might have a situation where you want to understand what kind of media is your target audience consuming. Are they going mostly online or they are looking at print media? In print media, are they reading these kind of newspapers or those kind of news channels, or what is the situation? And therefore, how to convey my message best? In those situations, you might need market research. So the market research has a number of applications, but in the world of PR, these are some of the most common applications of market research when you're trying to understand a new space or you're trying to understand the media ecosystem in a news situation. So especially when, for example, PR agencies go to get new clients, they have to do market research to try and understand what their ecosystem looks like, what kind of media their audience consumes, what kind of audience they have, what kind of journalists should they be working with. That is called a media dipstick, generally speaking. And that is a type of market research. So yeah, market research can be a really, really powerful tool. The only disadvantage of that is that you need a lot of time and money for it. To do any kind of significant or reliable market research, you will need a lot of time and money for that. So I hope that answers your question to a certain extent. Anything else? Any other question?
Apikshit, are you here? Apikshit is on mute. I think Lynn, we had one more question, right? So hold on.
Yeah, Apikshit has typed another question. For corporate sector, how do you differentiate marketing team and PR teamwork and working process?
Hemant? Can't hear you, Hemant.
Lynn is speaking and she's on mute.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I would be able to answer this question on a PR perspective where the PR team and the marketing team work collectively together to understand how exactly we can put forth the story of a brand out in the market. So they all work hand in hand, but the marketing team technically functions on budgets, which they allot a part of it to the PR team, where we work collectively with with the marketing teams in order to convey the brand story and to on a corporate perspective. If that answers your question.
Means who need more budget, marketing or PR?
Definitely, the marketing team needs more budgets. PR team wouldn't. PR is a part of marketing, so I mean, you can't pump in a lot of budgets on everything, right? I mean, we collectively work in order to keep the continuity of the story and to keep it ongoing and alive for the longest time. I mean, you could spend maybe like 1 crore on a particular advertisement or a particular campaign, but it needs to be alive. It doesn't need to. I mean, it cannot die down there. So the PR teams out there need to collectively work together on a. I mean, that's where creative freedom comes to picture, right? I mean, we need to be creative, knowing how we keep the brand alive and the story of the brand alive and keep it going. Yeah.
Any more questions, guys? Anybody who has anybody?
Dhanashree, you're on mute. Okay.
Is it?
Oh yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So again, we have Raj Ratan raise hand. Raj Ratan, do you have any question, or is just by mistake? No. All right. Let me lower it down for you.
Madam, is the digital marketing is it under what PR agencies, ma'am?
Yes, so apparently a lot of PR firms, I mean, a PR firm which I work for is basically an integrated communications firm where we have digital teams as well as, I mean, PR teams where we work collectively together. So not all campaigns that you want only happen organically or through the media, right? I mean, we need to be out there on social media as well. I mean, there's something called social media marketing as well. So that's where digital PR comes to use, where we work on SEOs, we work on websites, on rebranding a website, uh, storytelling through Twitter. So yeah, I mean, it's all we all work together in a similar ecosystem, but technically we work on low budgets and we keep the continuity of the brand and the story of the brand alive.
So yeah, I think we've addressed all the questions. In case, guys, if you have any more questions, you all can definitely, reach out to us on Instagram. I've already mentioned the details here in the chat box, especially for the people who've joined in late. You can definitely go through that and get in touch with us. Yeah, that's it. So, Ujjwala ma'am, any questions from your side specifically? Ujjwala ma'am, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry, my camera cannot be switched on. I don't know what the problem is.
No
but
problem.
are we ready to wind up?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, I know. I'm really happy about the questions that came from the students, because as I said earlier, they have started thinking about it. And thank you so much, Lynn, and previously
Thanks,
Geetika,
ma'am.
and also it's Mr. Hemant, right? Who
Yes.
also shared his knowledge and views about PR and market research and all that. So I'm really happy that because, as I said, we really value close ties with the industry and with the professionals. And from our side, we do try to bring them in as and when possible. But I really appreciate this effort from PR professionals body to reach out to mass communication students and nurture talented workforce, I'm sure, because that is what we need ultimately for any profession to do its job satisfactorily. And I really appreciate your efforts in that direction. Thank you so much for this opportunity to hear from experts.
Thank you, ma'am, for the
Yeah,
opportunity.
thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Okay, so we will close this session now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, students.
Thank you
for
so
your
much for
participation and enthusiasm.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you. Bye-bye. And yeah, we hope to have some of you talking to the students again. Yeah.
Definitely,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much
Thank
for
you.
giving this opportunity to us. So thank you once again.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.